We visited Mount Hood about a decade ago with some dear friends, had the best hot chocolate I've ever had in my life, and made an immediate note to come back just now. Hey folks, I'm Michael Krasilovsky with Team K Realty out of Corvallis, Oregon. My team and I help people buy and sell homes and investment properties, and in our occasional free time, we enjoy making videos about Oregon for you. Is Timberline Lodge for sale? No, but my mom loves Mount Hood, and we went for a lovely family visit as part of an Oregon outing together where we all went to a Bigfoot Museum, Multnomah Falls, and Timberline Lodge and the Welch's, Oregon area. And those other two videos about Bigfoot Museum and Multnomah Falls are now live on the channel, so this is the last one of that trip. All right, to Mount Hood we go. We're waiting for the Mount Hood shuttle.
We're on our way.
Now, most people, when they think of Mount Hood, are thinking, of course, of skiing and snowboarding, or the movie The Shining. Now, we went in the shoulder season, right before the skiers and snowboarders arrived, and we were there in the week. We were there on like a Wednesday, intentionally so that it would be very quiet, and you'll see that in these video clips. And this was something like early or mid-November for your reference. We did not stay at Timberline Lodge for this particular trip. It was just a day trip to Mount Hood. We stayed at a condo in Welch's, Oregon that was definitely intended for skiers, but they let us in anyway. Timberline Lodge does, of course, have rooms for rent, but we were just visiting the mountain for the day, and I do think we'll end up going back to Timberline Lodge, maybe for a writing retreat, just my wife and I. Something that was super helpful was the uber convenient and very affordable shuttle bus called the Mount Hood Express. They have stops all along the highway, and it's just a couple bucks a person, cash only, and no change made. But believe me, we were very happy to let someone else do the driving, because even though in the valley floor it was just normal drizzly conditions, once we got up onto the mountain, it was definitely snowy, and I don't know how well my Prius would have handled that. As we got to Timberline Lodge, it kind of looked like we were approaching a mountain compound out of a Russian spy movie, like some kind of Bond movie compound at first. And it was pretty snowy and pretty icy, even in this season. So you want to dress appropriately, of course, when you're there. As we went through the first building that was full of ski gear for rent and beverage vending for people way more adventurous than myself, we got to take a look at a couple of fun things that you'll see along the way here. And then we went back outside and got to the real Timberline Lodge building, which is what you also see on the screen behind me from the Mount Hood Timberline Lodge website. When you go there, be sure to notice the very famous large compass rose in this particular entryway. And let's talk a little bit about the dog. I didn't know this beforehand, but it's tradition that Timberline Lodge is famous for having St. Bernards. I think they actually have two named Heidi and Bruno, and I believe that they always name them that, so they're probably on like their 9th Bruno right about now. You can actually book a 45-minute long hike with one of the St. Bernards and their handler on the Timberline Lodge website. We did get to pet Bruno, and I can tell you that he was very fluffy and a total sweetheart. Timberline Lodge is incredibly charming. The high ceilings, the huge timber beam construction, the fireplaces that are absolutely everywhere, and the incredible wrought iron work, the art, stone, and tapestries, and lots of handmade light fixtures just really contribute to this space feeling special. Something that I'd recommend that you do, if you're just playing tourist like me and not just there to ski, is to ask for these brochures that you'll notice have QR codes on them, and you can scan those QR codes and it'll help take you on a self-guided walking tour of the art, the wood carvings, the tapestries, the wrought ironworks, and more. And I gotta say, it was a really nice way to just explore the lodge and actually look for and notice things that I probably wouldn't have seen otherwise. It really is set up such that part of the experience is that you're in an interpretive museum. So I'd recommend spending some time really going around and looking at all the information. Check out this informational film as well. It was very well done. There were so many interesting items that were made out of wrought iron. I've never seen such a special boot scraper in my life, and I can verify its functionality. I would say that throughout our time there, I felt constantly connected to the past as I imagined all the workers doing all of this ironwork especially. I absolutely loved the fireplaces they had around the lodge. That is my kind of ambiance. There is a young lady there who seemed to be solely charged with tending to the fires, and don't get me wrong, I enjoy our real estate business and the over 400 families that we've helped move, but if her job ever opens up, I might just apply. If you ask the people at the check-in desk for the hotel portion of the lodge very politely, and you don't look particularly axe-murdery, They'll let you borrow their prop replica of the axe from The Shining so that you can have a photo op with it. I'm often missing part of the reference with things like cult films, so I'm not really sure what it is about this lodge that apparently makes you mad, but I can assure you I felt no onset of psychosis during our time here. Now, schlepping an axe around for selfies did make me a bit hungry, and I gotta tell you, we had a wonderful buffet lunch. We were literally the only people in the restaurant on this particular preseason weekday. And again, that was by design. We needed to find a day there where we weren't around a bunch of people. Look at these 100-year-old wooden chairs and the handmade tapestries on the windows. All of this dates back to the handcrafted nature of the lodge. This buffet really was wonderful. It included flank steak, pork loin, vegetable polenta, pastas, roasted vegetables, fresh-baked sourdough bread, tomato soup that we're going to talk a little bit about here, potato salad, mixed greens, quinoa, these little pork sandwiches, and of course a bunch of cheeses and charcuterie. And you could pour your own Belgian waffles and have pastries with goat cheese and tomato jam. Now let's talk about this tomato soup, because you know we love food around here. So that tomato soup was really, really good, and we found ourselves talking about it, and then my wife actually asked the recipe and found out that their secret ingredient is coconut milk instead of cream, which they were very proud of because it made it vegan, but I would say that it's worth just seeking out because it was delicious if you go there in particular. It was so charming being in the dining room and hearing the firewood crackling, watching the snowfall on the original ram's head carvings outside, while just being surrounded by what can only be described as the ultimate skiing lodge. I know that in our last video, iconic was the word of the day, but I'm tempted to mutter it here too. I just want you to imagine coming here for a weekend of skiing, warming up fireside with a cup of their amazing hot cocoa, and taking advantage of their hot tub that, as you can see here, was almost as long as the swimming pool itself. My wife and I definitely looked at each other and agreed that a riding retreat at the lodge would be very intriguing. This little thing here was interesting. I noticed what I figured was some kind of a brace for one of the large windows, and I did take a moment and ask one of the employees, and it turns out that's exactly what the purpose was. So this particular spot, they said, can get gusts of up to 100 miles per hour, if I recall correctly, coming off the mountain. Even though we were intentionally visiting before the skiers and snowboarders really arrived for the season, it sure looked like Mount Hood and Timberline Lodge were ready. On our way back to the Mid-Valley, we stopped at the Johnsrud viewpoint, which, if I recall correctly, was in Sandy, Oregon, and I can only assume that this viewpoint would provide an amazing view of Mount Hood, if not for the cloud cover we saw that day. It's worth seeking out. It was a beautiful spot, be very picturesque. Aren't you freezing? No, this is a warm Hawaiian shirt. It's tropical. That's warm. If you like videos like this about adventures worth having in Oregon, please do be sure to subscribe. And remember, folks, what we actually do here is we help people move here. And if you'd like to see what our clients are saying about working with us, we actually have an entire second channel dedicated to client reviews and testimonials. Please check it out. We're never too busy for you here in the Mid-Valley, and if you need our help, just reach out. Call, text, email, whatever's convenient for you. We can hop on a Zoom call, help you pre-plan your visits, and be a resource for you along the way. Thanks so much, and as always, bye for now.